Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Galarian Moltres. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Galarian Moltres is a dark and flying type Pokemon with the moveset of Wing Attack, Payback, and Brave Bird. It also does learn Ancient Power, but this trainer is choosing to run double nukes. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out double nuke Galarian Moltres in action in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a Nightmare lead, Galarian Moltres and a Shadow Walrein. Immediate save switch into Sableye, which is going to be met with a Shadow Swampert. And this trainer is actually running a regular Sableye, which I do not recommend. I do recommend running the Purified Sableye, because having access to Return is extremely powerful on Sableye. Sableye overfarms quite a bit, grabs a shield with the Foul Play, and able to reach a second one, applying a ton of pressure onto the Shadow Swampert. Swampert does give up that final shield, and at this point, I think you just let the Sableye go. Sableye has done its job, managed to get a shield advantage, and on top of that, get both shields from the opponent. Because if you're running a double nuke moveset, if you can get shields down, you should be in a pretty nice spot. Moltres tanks a Hydro Cannon, Swampert able to reach a second move because of the overfarm. Nice energy management by the opponent. Moltres farms down and leaves with a Brave Bird. Bring back in that Walrein. In comes Walrein. Moltres charging up the Brave Bird. Brave Bird, massive damage onto the Walrein. In the back, it is Talonflame, which is going to be met with the Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk does survive a Flame Charge from this health range. Flame Charge is going to do quite a lot though. Stunfisk, very nice move timing and going for the Rock Slide. This should just about KO the Talonflame. Talonflame lives on 1 HP, gets farmed down, and this will be game over. G-Fisk leaves with the Rock Slide, taking down the Walrein, and that is a good game. Hopping to the next match, leading Galarian Moltres into Venusaur, an absolutely incredible lead. Opponent save switches into Defense Deoxys, and things could not be going much better as Defense Deoxys is going to be met with Sableye. Deoxys is going to be firing off a Rock Slide, Sableye tanks it no problem, and can massively overfarm in this matchup. Overfarms and fires off the Foul Play on the CMP tie to the next Rock Slide. Foul Play does get the shield. Deoxys looking to make a play for switch, but so long as Sableye is able to match shields here, then Sableye can very safely keep switch. Overfarms quite a bit and fires off again on the CMP tie. Foul Play takes down the Deoxys. Back in comes Venusaur. Venusaur is going to be able to farm down before Sableye reaches the back-to-back Foul Plays. Only able to fire off one, but that still will do a nice amount of damage. And back in comes the Moltres. Venusaur is going to be firing off a Sludge Bomb. This will do quite a bit of damage. Moltres not the tankiest, and in the back is Walrein. This is a pretty decent matchup for G-Fisk, but with an energy lead, Walrein is quite scary. G-Fisk letting it through, it's an Earthquake, and that does massive damage. That does get the G-Fisk quite low. At this point, if you're the Walrein, do you try and commit to the farm down here? G-Fisk overfarming, and the opponent does not. They're going to be firing off a move. They go for the Icicle Spear, and it's a CMP tie. G-Fisk is going to be firing off the Rock Slide. Rock Slide does a solid chunk of damage. Walrein needs to farm down here. They cannot, and G-Fisk is able to reach the last second Rock Slide, and that KOs the Walrein. Back in comes the Venusaur. Moltres reaches the Brave Bird, and that will be game over. Brave Bird taking down the Venusaur, and that is a good game. Tough lead in the next match, Galarian Moltres into Azumarill. Honestly, this entire team does struggle somewhat against the Azumarill. Moltres is going to stay in and go for the Brave Bird. Brave Bird will do big damage if it lands, which it does, and then the save switch into Sableye. Opponent banks a ton of energy, and they bring in Altaria. Despite the fact that Sableye has super effective Power Gem here, Power Gem unfortunately just doesn't do a whole lot of damage in this situation. Altaria able to tank it with relative ease and fire back with a Sky Attack. Sableye is going to be shielding, will be able to overfarm quite a bit, but unfortunately Altaria is going to be able to reach another Sky Attack before they're able to reach another Foul Play. And at this point, you kind of just have to let the Sableye go because that Azumarill is absolutely loaded on energy. And now they are going for an incredibly aggressive farm down with the Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk going for the farm down. Altaria is able to reach a move, but anything they throw is going to be resisted here. They go for the Moonblast. In comes Venusaur, and they actually switched. They saved the Altaria, and they gave up switch advantage. Stunfisk able to land the Earthquake, going to overfarm quite a bit and bring in Moltres. And Moltres should be able to farm down and hopefully leave with some energy to try and take on the Azumarill. Moltres farms down, unfortunately does not leave with a move. You hate to see it. That Azu is absolutely loaded on energy, and in it comes. Azu overfarms and plays into a CMP tie. A big mistake by the opponent. Brave Bird gets the shield, and now Azumarill loses a shield and a bunch of energy. They fire off the play rough. In comes the Galarian Stunfisk, taking no chances, going straight for the Earthquake. Earthquake takes out the Azu, able to mudshot down the Altaria, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Galarian Moltres into Medicham. Bit of a tricky matchup here. Opponent is going to save switch into a Alolan Sandshrew. Banks a bunch of energy and then brings in Sableye. May have meant to bring in the Galarian Stunfisk because with this big of an energy lead, Sandshrew can absolutely flip switch here. Sableye overforms quite a bit and fires off the Foul Play on the CMP tie to the Night Slash. Foul Play gets the shield, and the Night Slash is going to be fired back by the Sandshrew. Sableye is going to shield up, can overfarm here ever so slightly, and again able to force a CMP tie, which is very, very nice gameplay because this prevents the Sandshrew from being able to farm down. So trapping them into firing off that Night Slash will KO, and unfortunately, they've now lost switch, but shields are down, and Moltres does have a ton of energy. And from here, the G-Fizz can probably go for a farm down. They aggressive switch into Medicham, and that's going to cost them. Galarian Moltres, Brave Bird, one-shots the Medicham. Back in comes the Sandshrew. Sandshrew is going to be firing off a move. They just go for a Night Slash. That is not going to be enough to KO, but they're able to farm down. In comes the Stunfisk. Stunfisk will be able to take the Night Slash, farm down, and the question is, what is in the back? This Stunfisk is absolutely loaded, and it's a Lickitung. Not out of the woods yet, because 2 Earthquakes are not enough to KO Lickitung. Lickitung is extremely tanky, firing off a second Earthquake here. This is going to be getting the Lickitung quite low, and then just needs to be able to reach the Rock Slide. I believe this is only a Body Slam, and it is able to call it, and that will be game over. Rock Slide will be taken down the Lickitung, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Galarian Moltres into Jellicent, a very nice lead. And Jellicent is staying in, which means they very well could be weak to Moltres somewhere in the back as well. This is enough for the Ice Beam. Moltres shields, and that proves to be a very good idea as it was the Ice Beam. But now it's Moltres' turn, going for the payback. Payback connects, and one-shots the Jellicent. In comes Bastiodon, an immediate save switch into Sableye, which baits out the Venusaur. And at this point, this game should be over. Because now, the Moltres gets aligned onto the Venusaur, and Galarian Stunfisk is going to absolutely destroy Bastiodon in the endgame. Sableye does decide to shield up here, will overfarm quite a bit, and then go for the Foul Play. Foul Play will be taking down the Venusaur if they decide to let it go, but they decide to shield the Venusaur. Honestly, I view that as a bit of a mistake by the opponent here, but either way, doesn't really matter what they do at this point, because G-Fisk is going to be able to close out, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Galarian Moltres into another Jellicent. We saw this lead play out previously, and it goes very well for Moltres. This Jellicent is actually running Bubble Beam, meaning they can only hit for neutral in this matchup, and Bubble Beam basically does no damage. Nidoqueen save switch, and Moltres is going straight for the Brave Bird. Brave Bird gets a shield, and now in comes Galarian Stunfisk. With the energy lead, Nidoqueen is going to be able to outpace here, but with the shield advantage, Stunfisk can very safely shield, and honestly overfarm by quite a bit here. I like that energy management a lot. Earthquake goes unshielded, and down goes the Nidoqueen. We'll have to see, do they bring in the Jellicent, or do they bring in that final Pokemon? And they bring in the final Pokemon, which is Scrafty. And since the Stunfisk is still so healthy, it can probably reach 2 Earthquakes here. First one, able to connect, and Scrafty's gonna fire off the power-up punch, trying to ramp up that counter damage to do as much as possible. Scrafty tries to go for the farm down, and they realize they're not going to get there. They fire off one final power-up punch. Stunfisk able to hang on 1 HP, fire off the Earthquake, and take down the Scrafty. And now it's all up to Moltres to close out this game. Jellicent is just going to spam out moves here. They go for the Bubble Beam. Moltres tanks it like a champion and is going straight for the payback. Even debuffs, payback should KO here. So Moltres is going to be able to grab that final shield. Jellicent continues to spam out Bubble Beams. Bubble Beam not enough to KO. Moltres farming up. And Jellicent reaches one final Bubble Beam, but with a shield, Moltres should be able to reach the payback. This is triple debuffed. Is it going to be enough to KO? It barely is not, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, leading Galarian Moltres into another Azumarill. We saw this previously. Azumarill is a pretty big problem Pokemon for this team. Moltres farms up, but Azu is going to be able to reach the Ice Beam. Ice Beam is going to be doing massive damage onto the Moltres. Moltres able to hang on and return fire with a Brave Bird. Brave Bird, big damage, and an immediate save switch into Sableye. Sableye farming up. Azu is going to fire off an Ice Beam. Ice Beam wouldn't do a ton of damage here, but Sableye is still going to respect it with a shield, and then in comes Swampert. And this Swampert is switching into an absolutely loaded Sableye. Sableye able to connect with the Foul Play, and Swampert is going to fire back with the Hydro. This is non-Shadow, so will be able to survive the Hydro, overfarm quite a bit, and is just short of the back-to-back Foul Plays. Foul Play goes unshielded, and down goes Swampert. Do they bring in Azu to absorb the damage? They do not. They bring in Skarmory. Sableye able to reach a last-second Foul Play. Foul Play able to connect, and from here, Galarian Stunfisk is in a great position to close out this match. All you have to do is just make sure to time your Rock Slides in the middle of Air Slashes so they're not able to catch. And that's exactly what they do, very nicely timed there. Rock Slide in the middle of the Air Slash, so the opponent is not going to be able to catch, and firing off Rock Slide number 2. At this point, Skarmory does have to start shielding here. Skarmory farming up a ton of energy. They go for the catch. In comes Azumarill. Banks the energy. Brings in Moltres and forces the Azu to throw. And at this point, this should be game over because the G-Fisk can just farm down the Azumarill, leave with a bunch of energy, and will be able to take care of the Skarmory. Shields up. It is just the Sky Attack. And from here, G-Fisk is in the driver's seat of this match. Rock Slide number 1 goes unshielded. And that is a good game. All in all, some very enjoyable battles featuring Galarian Moltres in the Great League. I would say Galarian Moltres, much like Galarian Zapdos, is still more of a pick for fun than for climbing, but in the future, if it does get a moveset update where it gets a cheap, reliable bait move that gets same type attack bonus, then maybe it could be a lot better going forward. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.